Hello, this is Jason from Christ-Centered Gamer, and today we get the exciting opportunity to do an unboxing of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. I figured today we would also compare said Classic Edition with the original Super Nintendo and the NES Classic Edition. So this I was fortunate enough to get a pre-order in through Walmart before it was released. I'd say about a month and a half ago. And just a few minute window, and I was lucky enough to get an order in. So this is how Walmart shipped it. They actually left it on my front porch. Good thing we're in a good neighborhood. And just open this up. And in here, all we have is the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. And just simple, nothing special in the box. And here we have the system itself, the Classic logo, with Classic Edition being an addition to the logo. Our list of games. Then we have the classics on top. We have the controller information on this side. The system itself on this side. Various warnings and HDMI logo on the bottom. And the glorious back, where it's got game boxes and art for various games. And the list of games listed right here. It's a pretty good box. It really does remind me a lot of when I was around 12, 13 years old opening my Super Nintendo when I was young. And I don't see any tape to stop us, so I'm going to go ahead and start opening it up. So we got the old style flap, just like the original had. And then we're just going to pull this out here. It's stopping me. Just my own not wanting to bust it, I think. Ah, and look at that. Now you're playing with superpower. Classic. Perfect. A tiny QR code. I don't think the original had that. And then here we are. Let's see what we got. Alright, box came out cleanly. And then we have the, what looks to be a poster. Super Mario World, Super Metroid. Let's see what this looks like. Man, okay. Some various startup instructions. Oh yeah, they know how to hit the nostalgia buttons right here. Look at Nintendo, this is something else. We've got the poster, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, Star Fox, F-Zero, and a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Yeah, this is very much like what came with the original. This is good. Alright, nice little poster. And instructions on the back. In a few different languages. I think 3. We'll only need this one, which I think I can figure it out. Okay, and a warranty and user agreements, which is the same as most things these days. If I can fit it back in here cleanly. Yep. Alright. And now, the meat of the system. Oh boy. Alright. USB base, which looks pretty similar to the NES Classic one. I have to hold it side by side, but I believe it is. We have a controller. Controller A. Controller B. It's so great they included 2 this time. And the system itself in this little box. And then we have lifted up here, we have a micro USB cable that goes for the charging, and the ever so necessary HDMI port. That means, yes, this will not work on a classic CRT. So I guess we'll start with the controllers. Look at that. And it is very similar to the original. As you can see, the original faded like all good original controllers would. But it looks pretty similar. Feels that way too. D-pad's a little newer, though honestly this one's in pretty good shape as well. And yes. And there we are, and of course the system. I'm going to take the box out of the way from here. And what?
The best part.
Oh, the best part, huh? Okay. My son is filming a little errand here. And we get to open the system. Look how small that is!
Tiny compared to that one.
Yes, it is. It is tiny compared to that. It says the Super NES Control Deck. Alright, I have to see what it says on the bottom of the original. Super NES control deck, look at that. Model SNES 001 on the original and model CLV 201 on this one. That's cute. They really did go all out. No silver sticker, unfortunately, but otherwise very similar. And no expansion port that nobody ever used, other than the SNES CD-ROM drive, which never was released. So, okay. And we have a non-functioning cartridge port, a non-functioning eject button, which is very sad, HDMI port, the DC in, and oh, we got little knobs, notches here that are not part of stock because these don't do anything. And what is this? Oh, look at that. That is how you get to your controller ports for these newfangled controllers that look an awful lot like Wii remote adapters. And you have the reset button that works and the power button that slides just like the original. Very nice. Okay, so this is our SNES Classic on top of a SNES. This is our SNES Classic next to a Super Mario World cartridge. As you can see, they're almost the same size, but not quite. And this is our SNES Classic next to a NES Classic. So our SNES Classic's a little bit, well, it's shorter, just a tiny bit longer, and a tiny bit fatter. But as you can see, it's very similar. Yeah. There's no cartridge port on top. There's no reason this has to be on top, but it could go either way, I suppose. I think they're really meant to be next to each other, though. And so, here we go. So, a couple interesting things to note. Let us see how our controllers compare. So, as you can see here with the NES Classic, we couldn't find a second one of these. So, we used a Wii Classic controller, and it works perfectly. Most of these buttons don't do anything. Just these don't. These don't. The home button does, though. It's actually a nice trick for those who don't know that. The home button works. And so let's take out one, but otherwise the A and B buttons works as expected. And then we will open one of these Super Nintendo Entertainment System controllers. Okay, same plug, see? Not like the original, but very much like this one. As you can see, they should be the same. They are the same, and they are, I believe they're interchangeable. Yep, you can use the Super Nintendo and your NES Classic if you like. If you were one of the few lucky ones to get a NES Classic. You got very lucky. Okay, so let's take this out and see what changed. Ah, look at that. A much longer cable. Very important. So the NES Classic cable is only this long, and the Super Nintendo Classic cable is this long. See how much longer that is? However, if you're comparing cable lengths, I have a feeling the original wins out, but let's find out. We have the original. Yes, sir. The original keeps on going all the way out here. Yep. Even next to it, it's still about half the length. But it is a far more usable length, so maybe not as usable as the original. It's a far more usable length than the NES Classic's barely 3 feet. You can see this little nunchuck, adapter thing. This is about the same length as. Gosh, that's longer than the NES Classic controller. That ain't right. Okay, well, I guess that concludes our unboxing. We've now seen the Super Nintendo Classic. I suppose I should plug in one controller before we truly include it. There we are. That concludes our unboxing. Next, we will plug in the original and the Super Classic and see what it's like with both. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again soon.